Jesal, I am so happy to know you, and I'll tell you why. There's a weird little camp, I think, and I would call it the entrepreneur camp. When you really talk to someone who founds a company, and especially with a shared interest in meditation, you suddenly feel like there is this experience that you and I both know that is hard to really describe. So thank you. And because because I have a company, I'm able to have people support me in like connecting the dots and making introductions. And then here we are in each other's orbit. And I'm so honored that you agreed to be on the podcast. Thank you.
Of course, I'm honored that I'm here. This is incredible. And it helps bring both of our worlds from meditation and entrepreneurship together.
Absolutely. And as an entrepreneur who has meditated for the last 20 years, I definitely believe in the power of taking the initiative to calm your mind and connect to your center and then move forward in life through that place or as a tool. And so for people that may be unfamiliar with meditation, before we talk about building your business, what would you say for you has been the greatest gift in your meditation practice, maybe so much so that it inspired you to start a meditation kind of technology company?
Absolutely. Well, I got into meditation about 9 years ago after graduating from undergrad. And my biggest moment was not being able to manage my stress and anxiety. I got out of a really bad relationship at a horrible time. And I thought the best way to deal with that was to just put more work on my plate. And that led me to have my first panic attack where I collapsed on my floor in my room. And I had to take a 2-week sabbatical from work. And that's the great process where I found my first meditation teacher, and meditation totally changed my life. So my approach to it was fairly practical, where I was using it to manage my stress and anxiety. And it gradually turned into something a lot more introspective and a lot more, I guess, deeper for myself. The reason why I started this company was because of the issue that I kept on falling into, and other of my friends, family, they also fell into, where these people download apps. 80 million people have downloaded Calm and Headspace cumulatively, and which is great. These apps are great for access, but the problem is that 85% of these people stop using these apps within a couple of days. And so there's a disconnect there. These apps provide access, but they don't provide outcomes. And so I was working in mobile product management before, and I was getting honestly just fed up just tapping on phones. And I thought that there should be a better way to interact with technology. And so I went to go study interactive technology to see how we could make meditation more immersive and engaging, combining both physical products and immersive content together. Very similar to how other companies in this space have been able to do, like Peloton and Mirror and other ones like that.
Perfect. Maybe this is actually the perfect time to segue into what Aduri actually is, what your product that you created is.
Mm-hmm. So Aduri is a connected meditation system that helps aspiring meditators build a consistent practice so they can reap the full benefits that come from a practice. Yeah. Our system consists of what I call the 3 C's: cushion, content, and community. Our cushion gently pulses and breathes with you, so it guides the breathing and focus during your meditation session. We pair that with all sorts of content found in our app. Everything is created in-house by our team of meditation teachers. Then we have a community layer on top of that. So let's say you and I we start a circle, or we call our community group circles. We can sync our cushions and practice together virtually, building that accountability and that connection that is missing from current platforms.
I love that. I mean, and I'll tell you also, as a meditator, it's, it does take discipline, and you think it's so easy, but then somehow your brain wants to distract you into being like, you don't have time to sit down and meditate. You're too tired. Yeah. Why don't you just lie down? Oh, I know. You're going to meditate in bed, lying down. And it has this whole dialogue. But I do love this idea that you are doing it in community and you're setting this intention. And I also love how you've specified that this is really like your beginning meditators, the people that are just entering into this and needing that extra support, and in a way needing to create almost a game of it, right? To just kind of make it something that can be as as exciting as a course. And now here we are at home. You can't even go to studios. You can't go to places where we would be normally coming together. But I love that. I absolutely love that. And I also love the discipline that you have, or your approach of really studying. Do you know what I mean? Like going to school and studying this. Like imagine that.
Yeah, I feel very fortunate that I was able to do that. I became the meditation guy in in school. It's so funny. The first prototype was so bootleg. It was this wood platform with a speaker bolted to the bottom of it, draped in a shower curtain hanging from a hula hoop using fish wire from the ceiling. And like
sounds like a good Halloween costume.
It's like a great Halloween costume. The good thing was that it provided the experience that I wanted people to leave with, and that was just being inspired with meditation. People got into the platform, and as they chanted during their meditation session, the entire platform vibrated with their voice. So there was this connection between themselves and what they were feeling. And I wanted to externalize the internal vibrations that we feel during meditation. And so we ran about 70 people through it, and people that weren't excited about meditation were now like, I want to start a meditation practice, which is a beautiful thing. People that kind of did it before were now re-inspired to do it. And so that led to this 2.5 years. It eventually became my thesis, which then turned into the company that we see today. But it's definitely a journey, and it still is a journey, and we're making mistakes and figuring things out, like any other startup is in this area.
Yeah. I also, when I think of the synergies between your path and my own, I've been teaching about goal setting for a decade. And I was teaching courses and teaching clients and companies all about intention and making reminders, big thing you always heard, like putting them on Post-it notes. And now, looking at Wishbeads, and really the essence of what Wishbeads is something physical that you can carry with you, because in our digital realm, we are almost tempted or we are teased with this idea that everything can be virtual. And here we are in the recording of this in the middle of a pandemic, and we have transitioned to many virtual things. And yet our souls still require something physical, and that we are physical beings. And I don't know, I have two almost teenage boys. I have one teenage boy and one 12-year-old, but they're very into the movie, Ready Player One. It's kind of an older movie now. Yeah. Okay. Ready Player One. And at the end of the day, so part of me, like as a mom or just as a human being, I was like, oh, I could actually see this happening. Like I can really see that there could be this whole avatar digital realm in which people think is more alluring than the real world. And then this was, of course, before the pandemic. Yeah. And now we have a rise of social anxiety. We have depression. We have all these things, which, by the way, meditation is amazing for. But I remember at the end, I can't remember what his name is, the main guy. And at the end, before he's going to pass over the keys to the kingdom, I'm not giving anything away, people. It's an old movie. He says, the thing about the oasis is you could never get a good meal. Meaning that it doesn't matter how alluring this digital world is, or this world that we want to immerse ourselves in. Nothing will replace the magic of being a human being in the real world. Yeah. And the question is like, how do we get back to that, to ourselves? How do we come home to ourselves? And I would say that one way is by seeing your deepest desires and wishes and taking action towards them. And the perfect complement is also quieting your mind, releasing that stress, and coming home to your inner being, which you can contact when you quiet your mind through meditation.
I love that. I mean, when you said how we come home to ourselves, that's kind of how we've built this company. Our whole slogan is bring mindfulness home, and we're not confining home to where you live, but home within.
Yeah.
So totally on board with that.
Yeah.
This whole mental well-being, 78% of us, of the working population is reporting, of the global working population is reporting mental health conditions, depression, anxiety, just like you said. And it is it's a tough time for all of us. And I think using a practice like mindfulness and meditation helps balance the volatility. I think that has helped me as an entrepreneur, and I'm sure it's helped you as well. It it totally smooths out the bumps as we go forth.
Yeah, I do think so. And it's interesting how we also have this other false notion that it's something outside of ourselves that is maybe unattainable or expensive or happens to other, quote, lucky people. And yet meditation is something that you can do, anywhere, anytime. But for just for the beginners, can you share a little bit, and I'm sure you've studied this, what about the science behind have you studied what the science, what is happening when we meditate? Do you have any sort of science behind that, or that you've looked into, the benefits and what's happening to us when we're meditating?
Oh, absolutely. Now there are over 5,000 research papers on the benefits of meditation, and it's pretty apparent. I think the biggest ones are reduction in anxiety. I mean, they're reduction in anxiety, better sleep, better fostering connection with others and yourself. But I know that's really abstract. There have been studies, especially this one in Harvard that was done several years ago, where they measured participants. They had one control group and one meditation group that they studied over 8 weeks. And what they were able to show was that the amount of gray matter in these subjects' brains increased. The actual density increased on the group of people that have practiced meditation for those 8 weeks. What that means is there are all these functions in the brain, the strengths of all the neurons and how your prefrontal cortex connects with their hippocampus, and just over repeated focus. And basically it's like doing bicep curls for your brain. Of course. Basically. And so the more times you do it, the more times that you're able to control that focus, the tensions, the bridges between each of these elements of your brain become stronger. Yeah. And that just helps your ability to focus better, to retain your memory better. These subjects they've studied all these monks that have been meditating for years, and their brains, although that they were 65, 70, their brain's age was actually 45, 50. It's amazing. I think that's incredible that you can just stop the aging process of the brain, or dramatically slow it with a simple practice here. When I was sharing before we started recording that for whatever reason, and for all the reasons I'm sure you can imagine, the last 4 days have been enormously stressful behind the scenes. And I actually can feel the short circuiting of my brain, where it's you went to go sit down to focus on something and you're like, okay, I am now going to focus on this. And my brain, it would almost feel like an explosion of just, it wasn't brain fog. It was just almost like a brain explosion. Too many things were trying to vie for my attention, and it was crazy. And I have all kinds of techniques that I use. And now that you're mentioning about the strength of those very clear neural pathways that are just practicing with meditation and focus, I almost can see the two different diagrams. With a meditation brain, a mind that has been well trained, it's like a smooth, efficient connection, so you can focus, it's easy, you get the answers, you're doing your thing. And I can viscerally feel where my brain has been, which almost just feels like pew, 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 across my brain, going around in circles, and it's exhausting. It's exhausting. I can picture it.
And yet, it's understandable, but I think, and what's exciting to me in this space of businesses like yours and mine is that now we're going to see that these aren't peripheral things that you can do, that these are actually essential things for everybody, because it breaks down the need for a medication, or it needs, don't get me wrong, sometimes you do need actual medication, but for general anxiety or just, the stress that we're all experiencing right now, what beautiful tools they're available to people.
Yeah. And even your product, right? I wear your Wishbeads every day now. There's a power of having something physical that reminds you of your practice, that reminds you of something. And what we're trying to do, it's very hard to see your progress in meditation. It's not, you can't judge it. You can't judge it. So how do you carve that physical space for your practice? And that's one of our approaches. We want to create that real estate in your home, just like your Peloton bike has it for your workouts. We want to create that meditation studio in your home. And just associating that space with calm and peace and focus.
That even actually, if you see it, if you just look at it, I mean, you have to sit and meditate, don't get me wrong, but even by seeing it, you remember oh, right, I can come home to myself right now.
Absolutely. I mean, every time, I wrote in here, the little Wishbeads paper, one of my intentions for this year is presence. And so these beads, they are for confidence and that perception. And so every time I look at this, I always think of presence. Like if I don't feel present, I look at these and I immediately become present. So there's a really strong connection there.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Well, you also have that place where you make what you want in the world. Like you and I are both like makers and creators. And I also know that it takes a tremendous amount of like grit and perseverance and relentless optimism and all the things to take an idea and big ideas and put them out into the world in a big way. So kudos to you, kudos to me, kudos to all the creators out there. Because I don't want to make people have I think a very airbrushed idea of like the glamour of entrepreneurship. But you and I can both heartily laugh.
Oh my God. What we show online is like the tip of the iceberg. There's so much.
Tip of the iceberg. I mean, just the absolute tip of the iceberg. And like, oh my gosh. So you and I can talk on and about that, but that's not to say, but I think it's important to have real conversations with people so that we get out of this airbrushed Instagram-y perfection, thing that people say, oh, well, it's supposed to be that way. It's messy. You fall on your face, you apologize, you brush yourself off, you pick yourself up, you go back to your practice, you try again. You have days that are amazing. You have days that are just on the floor. And, but you are making progress. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Tell us now where your amazing cushions are in terms of people being able to buy them, pre-order them. Where are you in terms of your production?
Absolutely. So we are about 8 weeks out of our first production. We are looking at Q1 of delivery next year, which is very, very exciting. It's been about 2.5 years in the making, just making sure that, the team that has contributed to this product has just been insane. Just incredibly smart people. And I'm just so honored that I could work alongside them. And so we have our pre-orders open up for a limited time now.
Great.
We'll be closing them shortly, and we'll be just focused on delivering those for a larger launch in Q1 of next year.
Oh, that's incredible. And a perfect way to start 2021. Yeah. And I'm going to imagine that no matter what happens in the next couple of weeks, we're all going to need meditation 2021 and beyond.
Meditation and mindfulness is actually was the number 6 most requested thing for New Year's resolutions coming in 2020.
Amazing.
So maybe it moved up a couple slots.
I think so. I think so. I think there's a reason, right? Don't you almost feel that there is this rebirth that is like beckoning us. Like I know that 2020 has been about really looking and seeing in a different way, having the courage to say, okay, if we were to start over again, what are we rebuilding and what am I shifting inside myself? So, and I think that we're in for a long haul. I think it's also been a real humbling moment to realize in this world of instant gratification that it's going to take some time for us to find our new way, our new path. And on one hand, I'm really glad to be here now because it feels like we're the people that are the bridge to go from what was before to what's coming, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think this, the way that people are living now at home, they've been able to construct their lives around their intentions and how they want to live versus something else being dictated outside of the home. And so that, I think that just gives people a lot more autonomy and power to make those decisions.
I do too.
Like you said.
Yeah, I do too. Oh my goodness. Well, if you could, let me just ask you one thing. When we're talking about wishing, we're talking about coming home to ourselves. Do you want to share like maybe what your big wish is? Like if you were to have a big wish for now, for next year, I know presence is a big one. And I think being in the moment is absolutely everything. But do you have some sort of big vision that you're noodling on right now that's in the ether for you?
Is this related to myself personally or the globe?
Whatever you feel like sharing.
So I think there are, so yes, there's presence, but I also think there's freedom as well. And I feel like a lot of people are feeling that way in the sense of just owning and stepping into their power, but also feeling like they have the choice. They have the choice that they can make on whatever they want to do, whatever they want to feel, whatever they want to say, wherever they want to go. I feel like we've been constrained to a physical location that has impacted our minds at the same time. And so that word is the first thing that comes to my mind. And I don't want freedom for just myself. I want freedom for the world. I feel like even with all social injustices and everything else that's happening, there has to be a better way forward. I feel like we being very connected people, we take on and we understand and we're able to empathize on a deeper level with others. And although we can't fully understand what others might be going through, it's something that that still follows like a cloud. And it's something that I won't be able to feel totally open and free unless everyone else is. And so that's something that I'm wishing, because I feel like on our mission to build a happier, kinder world, that has to be a requirement.
Oh my gosh, I really love that. Thank you for that reminder. And I think that from my point of view, in looking at the work that you're doing, freedom, and when you look at an individual level and what you're creating with Aduri, is when we really reconnect to that inner light that's inside of ourselves, we actually do set ourselves free. And by living in that state of presence, actually, that energy and that presence activates other people to do the same thing, because it's energy. So whether you're running around with, calling cards for Aduri or Instagram likes and posts and things like that, it's actually an energy. Because you're right, you can't judge meditation. So you don't know really what it's doing. You can stop. And actually, this is something that I do because I have been practicing for so long, is that I'll stop and I'll take stock in where I was 6 months ago and where I was a year ago and who I was 3 years ago. And it's only when you kind of go back and reflect, you think, oh, I have made some progress. Yeah. Today, I had a really rough morning and I thought, boy, I took like 10 steps backwards, but you can come home to yourself, and that is actually freedom. And as an entrepreneur, knowing I have a very strong indication of probably what a day is like in your world,
It starts in marketing and it ends in like some completely other part of the business.
And all roads end up at you. And it's like decision fatigue. I think my husband asked me last night what was for dinner. And I was literally like, I was done. I was like, I can't, I'd rather starve than make one more decision. Like I can't, no. Which is not good if not only you have to feed yourself, your husband, you have 2 kids. They don't care about my decision fatigue. But the idea that we can all find freedom, that means that in a way, you're fighting for the freedom of others when you are working day in and day out to build a product to change people's lives. So I would say that you are most certainly pouring your heart and soul into your big wish. And it's awesome. I'm so excited.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to get my own cushion. But speaking of giving things away, months ago when we originally connected, we talked about a giveaway. And then we came up with this clever idea of launching it on 11/11. That's November 11th. Because I don't know, are you one of those 11/11 people? Do you see 11/11 on the clock?
On the time, always.
Okay, so I should have brought this with me, but someone years ago gave me a book called 11/11 because apparently I actually couldn't get through the book. It was a little weird, but the idea is that we are summoned from some star, we're all star beings. And that when we see the message 11/11 on a digital clock, if you can imagine people, 11/11, you are getting like a wink from your star folks of like, we see you, you're on path or whatever. Like it's some sign from the universe. Wishbeads is all about signs. I've been seeing 11/11 as long as I've been looking at digital clocks. I wasn't really noticing them before when they were non-digital, but I thought it's so fun that we're going to do a giveaway, a Wishbeads giveaway and an Aduri cushion giveaway. And we'll put also, you have to make sure to follow wishbeads.official and at Aduri, right? I forget that's right.
Aduri.co.
Oh, adori.co. And you will see all the giveaway details and make sure. And I can't remember, is the winner going to have to wait until next year to get it? Or did you have?
That's right. So when we ship, they'll be one among the first people to experience the Aduri cushion experience.
Amazing. Well, the Wishbeads are ready to ship. So you're going to get your Wishbeads and then you're going to have to be patient. You can work on your meditation until then, but it's going to be worth the wait. So we'll definitely post all of the details about the giveaway to make sure that you sign up and share and spread the word so that we can come home to ourselves and experience the freedom we deserve.
Yeah, I'm super, super excited about this giveaway. I think it's going to be the best of both worlds. Take your practice wherever you go. And when you come home, you can take your practice on your cushion.
That's awesome. And tell us a little bit about what's your meditation practice like on a daily basis? Yeah.
So I think very similar to you, I approach it as different techniques to what I need. So I kind of approach it like a toolkit. If I need energy, I go more for a mantra or TM based meditation. If I need to relax, I use body scanning sessions, etc. But generally my sessions are doing anywhere between 15 to 20 minutes in the morning, after some light journaling, and before I go to sleep, I do a 5 to 10 minute meditation to just jumpstart the parasympathetic system to get myself primed for sleeping.
I love that. And this is such it's a tiny thing, but it makes such a huge difference. So we all have habits, right? Some habits are good, some habits are bad. Our little devices have now become our alarm clocks. So our phones are by our bed, for better, for worse. I would say most people, they're within arm's reach. And yet what you do right before you sleep really sets off the trajectory of your sleep. So I have a firm rule, like a no news, no random scanning of social media platforms in case like something super triggering pops up. Certainly no emails, because there's just emails coming in constantly with the various things that I'm involved in. So in addition to meditation, for my practice, I also have books that are kind of like spiritually based books that are going to be things that are going to inspire me, or things to think about. So I make sure that like my launch pad is actually a beautiful launch pad.
I love it.
Instead of really like being like, oh my God, can you imagine? Like, I have like a firewall on things. And I think that, for anybody listening, I think it can be just something to play with. Just get curious about it. You can listen to, you and I talk about it, but if you don't experience it yourself, then it just becomes a concept that probably you'll just forget. But what would it feel like to really remove your phone from your bedroom and have a little digital or whatever, some kind of alarm clock? Or what would it feel like to put a couple of books that do make you feel inspired and just have those by your bed? What would it feel like to just take even 5 minutes to quiet your mind before you went to bed and see if it changes? Because I'm always shocked when I hear how many people really have a hard time sleeping.
Yeah. I love how you said this, because I'm going through this again. Like this is the most human thing that I do. It's like, I'm going to remove my phone from the bedroom and not look at anything, so I can read and just write some notes of what happened in the day down before I go to sleep. And I did it for so long, and then I stopped, and I was like, I trust myself again. Like I trust, and then it's just like, nope, cannot do it. And literally yesterday I started again of just locking my phone, my computer, everything downstairs, and just forcing yourself to read. Like, of course you want to read. Of course you want to meditate right before you go to sleep. Just something to do and prep and prime yourself for sleep. Your evening routine always dictates your morning routine. And so I think knowing that could make the evening routine a little more intentional.
Definitely. And having the grace to know that when you fall off the path, it's okay. Don't waste any more energy yelling at yourself or beating yourself up. Just be like, oh, okay, it's time to shift again. Hello. Yeah. All right. I'm going to go shift again. I'm going to do this a little bit better, a little bit smarter. And then it won't seem so out of left field when you do have those moments where you really feel off the rails and something is really upsetting, is to take yourself back to the present moment, to use all the tools, to go back to it. I had a really upsetting thing happen like 2 hours ago, and my husband literally reminded me, he's like, what are your tools? Like, what can you do right now? Because, normally I'll just sit down and I'll like work through it. And I was like, I can't. Like the frontal cortex of my brain is like activated so much that I can't think straight. He's like, what's your tools? And I ended up using EFT tapping.
Yeah.
I know how to do the tapping. And it was so crazy. Jesal, it was so crazy that I did the technique. It maybe took 2 minutes and I was back. I
love that.
And I thought, we think in those moments when we feel kind of hopeless or freaked out or really not ourselves, that it's going to be something huge and major, like some miracle, but it's not. It can be more simple and more human. And so the little simple things like locking your phone or leaving your phone at home when you go walk the dog or just go walk, or, locking your computer downstairs, like amazing. Like I have a sliding door that, to my office, and I will go through these things that like, I am going to create office hours for myself. I'm going to do that. Like everyone knows how hard I work in this house. And I'll be like, that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to have my evenings to myself. And that's healthy for myself. Yeah. And what happens? It's like, well, you know what? I have this deadline. So I'm just going to like sneak back in there and then, oh, I'm getting a call from, okay, well, I'm just going to, and then the next thing you know, I'm short circuiting. So right. We all have very, very healthy boundaries that we have to gently remind ourselves to keep ourselves on the path and use really simple tools like meditation, like wearing an intentional bracelet, like, journaling a little bit, doing the wish work, the tiny little things that you can do. All of a sudden you feel really amazing. Yeah. And you wonder, what the heck have I been doing all these years? But we're human, and this is a really intense time. So it's good to be compassionate to ourselves and not judge so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's so many questions that I want to ask you about entrepreneurship, but maybe we'll save that for I do a lot of online courses, and one of the courses that I'm launching is about goal setting and finding your life's purpose. That's which sounds a little bit lofty, but really doing purposeful work. I think that's probably more appropriate. So it would be fun to have you as a special guest on that as well, to talk really about the entrepreneurial journey. Because I remember because I never went to business school, but I feel like being an entrepreneur all these years, whether it's courses and teaching and coaching, or now Wishbeads and getting in the physical space, this has been the most amazing business school ever.
Yes.
Of just doing it,
you're getting paid for it instead of shelling out and getting into student loans and everything.
That's true. Oh, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. You're getting paid for it if it's going well, which fortunately it is going well. So that's good. But it's like the wildest ride. And speaking of looking backwards, I think about how I was when I first launched my Kickstarter campaign. And I think about, so many different points in my business. And I think about who I am now and what I know now. And then with compassion saying, well, what don't I know? And how can I go figure out that information now? How can I figure this out? And remembering that it's not a marathon. No, it's not a dash. It's a marathon. It's just like, this is going to go for a bit. And I'm so happy. I'm so honored to be on the ride. So glad I'm doing it.
I love using this analogy of entrepreneurship basically it's a law of attrition. It's how long you can last. And it comes down to the basics. Can you eat right? Can you sleep well? Can you take care of your mind? That's really it. And the longer you can do it, to your point of it being a marathon, then you will eventually get to the point where the scales will tilt in your favor.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. And then the gifts of it, really acknowledging with gratitude the gifts that have come along the way. And truly, it's the people that I've met. Absolutely. Like suddenly I have this thing that gives me this access to be like, hey, do you want to check out my thing? And then we can talk about it and we can, connect and learn from one another. Yeah. It's so great. And I didn't realize that when I started. I mean, I'm very committed. I know this idea came to me downloaded. So I knew that there was a higher purpose and reason behind it. But I will tell you that all the extra things, it's really been about the people and the relationships and the visioning. I get to talk about wishing, which is such a fun topic to me to talk about, as opposed to plenty of other products that I wouldn't be like, like socks or, something else equally important. You can always need socks, but I really have met so many incredible people doing amazing things. I've also been surprised by the generosity of mentorship that I've had by some amazing people who, when I've asked, like, I don't know how to do this next phase, but this is my thought. What do you think? I really am amazed and am quite grateful for those individuals who have given me their time and their expertise to guide me along the way. That's been a really wonderful surprise. So even though being an entrepreneur is not for the faint of heart, I do think that there's lots to be gained by it. A lot, and so much to be learned.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here we are at the end of October at the time of this recording, with holding all the possibility of what's ahead, but knowing that no matter what, we can come home to ourselves. Thank goodness. And we can be our best friend and our biggest cheerleader and our biggest champion, and connect with that energy by closing our eyes, connecting to our cushion, wearing our wish beads, and knowing that deep down inside, it's all going to work out.
I love that. That's beautiful. Yeah. It will work out.
It'll work out. Yeah. It'll be okay. It'll be okay, people. Just little by, I heard Elizabeth Gilbert say some little saying, which probably she got from somebody else. Inch by inch, life is a cinch. And I was like, that's so cute. I'm going to start saying that. It probably came from some kid's book. But inch by inch, life is a cinch.
Yeah. I love it.
So to all of you listening, first of all, Jesal, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much.
In the show notes and stuff, you'll see all the links to find out about our giveaway, to find out about Aduri, and to get your pre-order in, because I know you're going to want this cushion, to follow them on Instagram at aduri.co. And I'm sure we'll maybe be doing more of these. We'll plan another one for early next year.
Absolutely. Would love to. There's so many topics that we could jump into.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Jesal. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Thank you.